In this unit, we're going to study trigonometry. In this lesson, we're going to introduce you to the notation that we use when we study triangles. Okay, hi everybody. So we're going to start a unit on trigonometry. And we're going to start with the first lesson here is just on triangle notation. Now, you're going to see here that we're really not going to be doing a bunch of example questions here. Really what we're going to do is just going to walk through and just give you a bunch of information about labeling triangles and the different ways we can do that, just so that you understand later on what it is that we're saying when we refer to certain things. Now, first of all, before we do anything here, your calculator needs to be in degree mode. Okay, a lot of calculators, particularly the graphing calculators like this one right here, when you get them, they default to a radian mode, which is another way of measuring angles. Okay, and in a course later on, you will probably look at how radians work here, but for right now, we want to be in degree mode. Now, for most calculators here, if you press the mode button, there should be like a menu that pops up, or there should be, for example, another button that has the DEG or degrees next to it. Then you would press that to change your calculator into degree mode. For those of you that might have a graphing calculator like me, for me to get into degree mode, I have to press the mode button, and then I get this menu here, and I just have to go down and make sure that the degree word there is highlighted, and then I'm in degree mode. So I'd press enter there, and then I can quit and go back to the home screen. And at the top of the screen here, you see degree. On some calculators, what you might see is you might see a D or a DEG on the top of your calculator to indicate that you are in degree mode. Okay, now, with that said, let's just talk about trigonometry. Trigonometry is the study of the relationships between the sides and angles of a triangle. Okay, it is actually a word that means three. The gono here that you're seeing is going to refer to sides, three-side measure. Okay, metry, anytime you see that at the end of a word here, that refers to measuring something. Okay, something's being measured here. So three-side measure. And there's your triangle right there, right? So it's a unit you study in almost every high school course that you take because it's really, really helpful. Okay, Oftentimes, if I'm contacted by an old friend that I haven't made contact with in years, but they kind of contact me through social media or whatever, frequently when that has happened, it's because somebody is building something and they have a trig question and they want a little bit of help working it out. Okay, so it is one of those branches of mathematics here. It's one of those things where it does have a lot of practical applications. Okay, and by the way, it's an enormous branch of mathematics. You study it in high school. You could continue to study it throughout university, and you use it in a lot of different math courses. It's really neat. So to start, first of all, we want to make sure that we're communicating correctly with each other when we talk about triangles. So typically, when you're dealing with a triangle, we're going to label the vertices, which are the corners, okay, the points, with capital letters. So A, B, C. Okay, this is triangle JHI. Over here, this might be PQR. Okay, and those capital letters also represent the angle, right? So this could be angle A. This right here would be angle H. This could be angle P. And that's particularly easy if there are no other parts of this diagram. If it's completely unambiguous what P is referring to, then I could call that angle P. But for example, if there was another triangle connected there, well, then I wouldn't know which angle P is referring to, so that wouldn't be helpful. But in this particular case, I know exactly what you're referring to. So the above triangles could be referred to as triangle, the little triangle symbol up front, triangle ABC, triangle HIJ, triangle PQR. Now, there are a couple of ways that we might refer to the side of a triangle. Okay, one way is to use a lowercase letter. This is our vertex labeling, okay? And so what we do is we take the side opposite of a vertex, okay, for example, Q, and we would label that side with the lowercase letter of that vertex, okay? So for right here, what that would mean is, so here's vertex A, okay? The sides come out here. This is the side that's opposite it, and I would put little a right there. Here's vertex B. The opposite side would be lowercase b. This is vertex C. So on the other side of the triangle, this would be lowercase c. And we do it like that because it's not ambiguous. It's very clear what the opposite side of the triangle is. But if you were to say, for example, well, I'm just going to label, here's angle B, I'm just going to label the one next to it B. Well, which side next to it? This one or this one? I'm not sure what you're referring to. But if I say the opposite side in the triangle, well, there is only one side that's opposite that particular angle. So over here, for example, this side here would be h, lowercase h. This side right here would be lowercase I. And this side over here would be lowercase j. For this one right here, here's angle Q. Opposite side of the triangle, this would be little lowercase q. Over here, this would be lowercase r. And over here, this would be lowercase p. Okay, so that's one way of labeling the triangle. And like for myself, this is kind of that's my default method that I use. Okay, that's the one I go to without even thinking about it. However, there are other ways you could label the sides. Okay, another way is to use the two vertices that the side connects. And for some of you, this is going to be a little bit more comfortable because you may have been working with this in a junior high class, worked with this notation, and this might just be an easier way to work with this. So for example, we would call the side that connects vertices B and C, BC, with the little line segment symbol over top. So this right here would be line segment BC. This would be line segment AC, and this would be line segment AB. Just like here, this would be JH, this would be JI, and this would be HI. And again, you have to have the little bar over top to indicate that that's a line segment we're working with. So this here would be PQ, this would be PR, and this would be QR. Okay, so two different ways to label the triangle. It doesn't matter. And in fact, the more comfortable we are kind of moving back and forth with those two, the better. Now let's take a quick look at and talk about right angle triangles here. So right triangles have certain special features, okay? First of all, they contain one right angle, a 90-degree angle. Now, the side opposite the right angle is always the longest side, and it's called the hypotenuse. Now, it's really important that you catch this little detail here because sometimes people hear this rule, but they accidentally create a different rule in their head. The hypotenuse, okay, the hypotenuse is the longest side in a, and it's really important that you put this word here, a right triangle. It's not the longest side in every triangle. Okay, if you just draw a triangle, just a random triangle, and you identify the longest side, that does not make it the hypotenuse. But that is a default that a lot of people will go to, is they will accidentally make that assumption there. And you can see it a lot with work, because once the trig gets just a little bit more complicated, once you're working with like maybe two triangles in a problem, it's easy to see where people are making that particular mistake here. So it's really important. The hypotenuse is the longest side in a right triangle. The other two sides are sometimes referred to as legs. Okay, and they're each going to be shorter than the hypotenuse. So for each of these triangles here, let's label the hypotenuse. I tell you what, let's label it with an H. So here's my right angle. The side opposite it is the hypotenuse. Here's my right angle. The side opposite it is the hypotenuse. Here's my right angle. The side opposite it is the hypotenuse. Now, if you're unclear of what we mean by opposite, another way of thinking about it is this. To create this right angle, I need this side and this side. This is the one that I didn't need to create that right angle. This is the opposite side. So for here, these two sides were used to create the right angle. This is the opposite side. These two sides right here were used to create the right angle. This is the opposite side. Okay. And then this last one that we're going to look at here says, for the triangles below, circle the hypotenuse and put a box around the legs. And then complete labeling all the sides and angles first if necessary. Okay, well here, we're using the lowercase lettering here. I've got A, B, C as my angles, and I've got A, B, C as my sides. So the labeling is done. This right here is opposite the right angle, so it's going to be my hypotenuse. which means by default, those are the legs. This one right here is missing the labeling of the sides, so opposite capital R is lowercase r, opposite capital T will be lowercase t, opposite capital S will be lowercase s. And since S is the right angle, little s, sorry, I'm circling those, little s is going to be the hypotenuse, which means little r is a leg, and lowercase t is also going to be a leg. Now here we're going in the opposite direction, which is kind of neat. So here's side M. Opposite side M is going to be angle capital M. Here's N, lowercase n, so opposite that is going to be angle N. And then here's O, and opposite that will be capital O. But that actually doesn't alter the fact that this is going to be my hypotenuse, and then these two right here, those will be the legs. So I hope that gives you a good, strong sense of how we label the triangles.